Where did the 49ers improve the most this offseason? I think the obvious answer would be defensive tackle. They went out and signed the best defensive tackle on the free agent market, Javon Hargrave. And now suddenly that right D tackle spot in between Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead goes from being the biggest weakness on the defense to being one of its strengths. What I think is interesting about that big splash move is although it was a signing and it didn't seem like it came at the expense of anyone, it was a trade in a sense because it cost the 49ers a lot of money and prevented them from bringing back a lot of starters on their defense. A couple DNs, Samson Ebukam and Charles Omenihu. Their nickel, their starting nickelback, Jimmy Ward. Their starting strong side linebacker in Azeez Al-Shaair, and one hell of a starting cornerback in Emmanuel Moses. That's 5 starters on defense gone for an upgraded D tackle. So what does Hargrave give you? He had 11 sacks last year. He's a really good pass rusher. But again, the Niners lost 2 pass rushers to get him. They traded essentially Ebukam and Omenihu. Those 2 combined for 9.5 sacks last year. So on paper, that's a good trade. But for this to be fruitful for the 49ers, Hargrave is going to have to continue to outproduce both Ebukam and Omenihu combined. And Hargrave's 30. Omenihu's 25. And Ebukam is about to turn 28. So there's a little bit of risk involved there, considering the Niners have the oldest of the 3. And so to improve at defensive tackle, the Niners had to take a step back at defensive end, unless Drake Jackson steps up or Cleveland Farrell steps up. To improve at defensive tackle, the Niners had to take a step back at linebacker, unless a rookie steps up or a special teamer steps up or a practice squad player steps up. And to improve at D tackle, the Niners had to take a step back at nickelback, unless Isaiah Oliver steps up. And Isaiah Oliver is pretty good. But again, what's interesting is Hargrave theoretically improves the Niners' pass rush to a degree, considering they lost 2 pass rushers to add him. But he does improve the pass rush. He doesn't improve the run defense. He's not an asset against the run. He's not what you would call a good run defender. So he doesn't help the run defense. You lose Samson Ebukam, who was the best edge fighter on the team, according to D'Amico Ryans, better than Nick Bosa. You lose Jimmy Ward, who's a fabulous tackler, maybe the best tackler on the team. And you lose Al-Shaair, who's a really good linebacker. So to improve the pass rush, the Niners really took a step back in run defense. No question. And what's interesting is they lost in the NFC Championship game. They were on this really long winning streak. They eventually lost in the NFC Championship game to the Eagles. Yes, partially because their quarterback got knocked out, and then the second quarterback got knocked out, but the Niners gave up 148 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns. They were great against the pass. They held Jalen Hurts to like 15 completions and like 120 yards, and I don't think any touchdown passes, and like a 72 rating. But on the ground, they didn't give up a lot of yards per carry, but 4 touchdowns and 148 yards, and the run defense got worse. The Eagles are more committed to running than the 49ers are. If the Eagles are the one team in the 49ers' way, is Hargrave going to make the difference when the Eagles are running and then quarterback sneaking on 4th down? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch. So where did the Niners make their biggest stride this offseason? Where did they make their biggest improvement? D tackle. And probably pass rush. Although to add Javon Hargrave's 11 sacks, they had to sacrifice Omenihu and Ebukam's 9.5 combined. But it seems like they improved their most in the pass rush and took a step back in run defense, which is interesting. Makes sense in today's NFL, right? The run game is so not as important as the passing game. It just so happens that the only team that's a real threat to the Niners in the NFC is a big-time running team. And the other team that's coming for the 49ers in their own division, the only team that's coming for the 49ers in their own division, is Seattle. That's another big-time running team with 2 running backs, and Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, who are big and tough and good. So interesting how the Niners they prioritized their defense all offseason. It was the number 1 defense in the league last year. They really reconfigured it. Added a big-time starter, lost a few, and it's a little bit different now. It's a little bit better against the pass, and on paper, a little bit worse against the run, which, again, is smart in general. But when you look at the 2 competitors, the 2 challengers of the Niners and the NFC. It's interesting. Does it make them better or worse against the Eagles? Like, if they get past the Eagles or never have to face the Eagles and make it to the Super Bowl, I think Javon Hargrave is a guy you want, although he was shut out in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. But if they do face the Chiefs, maybe Hargrave can do better in the second time against them, now that he learned a little bit about Joe Thuney and Creed Humphrey and those guys. I don't know. It was interesting. They made a big swing at Javon Hargrave, but it came at the expense of their run defense. Who cares, right? See how it plays out. Interesting offseason.